You know, ladies and gentlemen, you probably see the question up there. And you gotta ask yourself, being a wrestling fan like myself, that follows WWE, tries to follow ROH, does follow at times Impact, but you gotta ask yourself, for WWE, you gotta ask yourself a question. With what happened at WrestleMania, audience-wise, and with what happened on Raw, audience-wise, and a little bit this past Monday on Raw, and even on SmackDown for the past 2 weeks, last Friday and two nights ago, you gotta ask yourself a question. What can the WWE, and most importantly, what can Vince McMahon do to possibly prevent these hardcore wrestling fans, as many people put them, from basically chanting and chanting these certain words, certain phrases, if you will, for a superstar, and cheering for somebody they're supposed to be booing? That is a question that obviously needs to be addressed. Now, if I'm WWE, honestly, heck, I let them do what they want. I don't try to edit it out. I don't try to can it or anything like that. I don't try to mute it. I let them do what they want. I'm that kind of a wrestling fan. But you got to realize that Vince McMahon probably is sweating in his chair. You know, he may look at the positives of the Daniel Bryan yes chance and think, okay, we're gonna make some money off that. That's fine. But you got to realize he realizes, oh shit, Daniel Bryan's supposed to be a heel, and yet he doesn't act, and yet people still cheer him. Now, yes, I will admit that they tried their best to get Daniel Bryan over as a heel this past Tuesday night on the Super SmackDown Blast of the Past, or Blast from the Past. I get that, and I think they did a decent job. But still, despite the fact that he was in Piper's pit, and he slapped Piper and all that, yeah, that kind of got him a little bit more heel heat, but it hasn't completely got him over as a heel. Basically what I'm saying is that despite the fact that they did that in Piper's pit, Daniel Bryan's still going to get cheered by a lot of fans. He's still going to get cheered with the yes chants. And despite the fact, and you know, even though the yes chants are going to be a money maker, especially with the T-shirt, that's fine. That's fine. But then you've got Brock Lesnar. Oh yeah, Brock Lesnar. You know, a lot of people through various podcasts, which you can find here on YouTube, have basically said that, and you can even read this at PWI Torch. You can even read this at Wrestling News World and Ringside News and anywhere else. Dirt Sheets, Bleacher Report, whatever. And they will all say literally the same thing. That Brock Lesnar, that the fans, the Cena haters, if you will, are using Brock Lesnar, I should say, not Lesnar, to channel their hatred towards John Cena. Just as they did with The Rock. But more so now with Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar, unlike The Rock, got physical with Cena right off the bat. But here's the thing. Brock is supposed to be, you know, Brock is brought in and supposed to be passed off as a heel. And yet you have the fans cheering him. More importantly, the male demographic fans cheering him because they want him to beat the hell out of Cena. I mean, obviously everybody was smiling. Obviously the male demographic was smiling when he busted Cena open on Raw this past week. You know, and that's cool. That's good. You know, at least it, you know, kind of shows that there could be there's some realism there, even if it was by accident or not. And I think it was by accident. But the thing is, you're trying to pass this guy off as a villain, and yet people still cheer. So the question is, how do you fix this? If you're Vince McMahon, you're the WWE, how do you fix this? You can't just mute in, or you can't just edit in boos on a live edition, well, unless you live on the West Coast and you only watch the 9 o'clock hour of Raw, then that's an entirely different story. Or if you're going to be watching the London broadcast this upcoming Monday, then that works too. But still, you can't. But still, the question is, how can you fix this? How can this be fixed? Can it be fixed? I mean, like I said at the beginning, I'm sure, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this would agree. If I'm WWE, I just let it go. I mean, look what they did in TNA. Austin Aries was trying to be, showcased as a bad guy, as a heel, brought up, kind of shown off as a bad guy, as a heel. What happened? They turned him babyface because fans were behind him. It didn't matter if it was in the impact zone. Didn't matter if it was on the road. The fans were behind the dude. So you had no choice. Same with Anderson. Same with Mr. Anderson. They did the same thing in WWE. And I mean, WWE did it with Anderson, for goodness sake. So there's no doubt. I mean, even Cena is a good example. Cena was a heel. Fans were cheering him. They liked the attitude he had then, and that's why he got turned into a face. They may have not pictured that he was going to be the face of the company and be who he is now, but still, they liked it. They liked it. But here's the thing. Nowadays, though, this is a PG or PG-13 product. Whatever you want to call it. PG, PG-13, whatever. A TV PG LV product. Or TV PG V product. So the question is, how do you fix this? How do you try to have it come off for these certain individuals? Now, WrestleMania, I'm pretty sure they can understand that they had hardcore wrestling fans there. You basically had ROH fans chanting during some of the matches Daniel Bryan's name and Vince screwed Bryan. Those were ROH independent wrestling fans. So the question is, how do you fix this? How do you fix it? Well, there's a few ways I think they can do it. And even though some of you might look at it as cheap ways and stupid ways, here's one way you do it with Daniel Bryan. You have Daniel Bryan basically come out, and let's say he has an ROH shirt with him. And fans are cheering. This is what you do. You have Daniel Bryan take what is most sacred to the independent wrestling fans that followed him for the past 12 years, or past 10 years in independent wrestling. You have him take, let's say, the ROH t-shirt or banner, and you have him rip it. You have him rip it up, you have him burn it. And then you have him basically say something like, this spells the end of the Daniel Bryan you knew. Basically get him to do something like, kind of show that he doesn't associate anymore with independent wrestling or promotions like Ring of Honor. That's how you get him over as a heel. You basically have him disown something that you hold sacred for him, that you hold sacred, and that you followed his career because of. The same with Brock Lesnar. Yeah, it might get WWE sued, but you have Brock Lesnar do the same thing. Have him bring out a replica of the UFC title, and then have him drop it in the trash and light it on fire and say, my UFC MMA career is over. That would get him some legitimate heat, if you will. That would get him some legitimate heat right off the bat. And whether it's both of them at the encouragement of Laurinaitis or not, doing that would get him legitimate heat, and it would get the people, the fans that followed them from those different those different chapters of their lives, to boo them. That's how you do it. That's how you have to do it. I mean, to me, it's an obvious choice. And I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just thinking it's more of a logical, more sensible choice to go with. At least try to do something in that perspective. Either that, or you're going to end up having more faces than heels. You're going to end up having more monster baby faces than you're going to have heels. You've got to do something that's going to really have these guys come off as major heels and get everybody, even those that have followed them, to go against them. But that's how I feel. That's how I feel the only way the WWE could fix this problem is to do that. So let me know down below what you think. How would you fix it? How would you, if you were WWE, try to fix this? Would you just let it go like I would? Or how do you think Vince McMahon and WWE would try to approach this if they, down the line, figure it's going to be a huge problem when they try to pass these guys off as heels? Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to y'all later.